What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So week 14 is officially in the books, and like I said in my preview last week, we had a lot of big ones this week. So naturally, now that it's in the books, we have a lot of shakeup in the playoff picture. And because of the big games, we had a lot of good games here as well. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off on Thursday, we had the Detroit Lions taking down the Dallas Cowboys 44-30. And this was a very fun back and forth offensive game, which I think was somewhat to be expected given these two, whatever these two teams call a defense. As for Detroit, this was, again, an all-important win, and they still know how to respond to losses pretty well, so I'll definitely give credit where it's due there. Hopefully, they've actually woken up after last week's wake-up call, which is the fifth one they've had this season. So, it's really up to them whether they've woken up at this point. But the big blow here, despite the win, is that there is no more Brian Branch for the rest of the season. He unfortunately ended up tearing his Achilles on Thursday night, which is a really big blow to this defense and this secondary. And they still need some help, but they have kept pace and given themselves some cushion between themselves and the Cowboys. As for the Cowboys, they finally had a bad performance from the defense, and the offense just really couldn't make up for it, despite really having a good game themselves. I mean, putting up 30 points on the road, that's usually enough for a win, and obviously tonight it was not. And really, the defense could not get the stop when asked, which is the first time we've seen that out of this defensive unit ever since, I guess, last week, the trade deadline. After they traded for Quentin Williams and Logan Wilson, it seems like this defense has stepped up to the plate when asked. That just didn't really happen this Thursday. And now they're back to 2.5 games out of the wild card with 4 weeks to go. To say they need a bit of help is really an understatement here. Then moving into Sunday, we had the Pittsburgh Steelers taking down the Baltimore Ravens 27-22, and it was yet another crazy, unhinged, and wild entry in this rivalry. I mean, really, these two teams can never play a normal football game. There is always the wackiest stuff going on, and it's crazy. I'll speak honestly here. I have watched that Isaiah Likely play at least 40 times. I can say with my chest that I do think that was a touchdown. I do think he completed the process of the catch, especially when I consider the Roman Wilson play from a couple weeks ago when the Steelers played the Packers. When I compare it to that, it's like I don't see a lot of differences there, so I really do think that was a touchdown. But regardless, we have an undisputed leader in the AFC North as we head down the stretch here. As for those leaders, the Pittsburgh Steelers, what a response after the disaster last week, in a statement win and a resounding win here as well. Really, I can attribute this win to their player of the game this week, DK Metcalf. This is what the Pittsburgh Steelers traded for in the offseason. 7 catches, 148 yards on the day for him, and the defense finally came through. I mean, 22 points on the surface doesn't look like anything crazy, but that vaunted pass rush really came through in the clutch. They slammed the door on a potential game-winning drive by the Ravens. So again, hats off there. And like I said, undisputed leaders in the AFC North. I'll leave it at that before I say anything that I might regret. As for Baltimore, look, whether it's the likely play of the touchdown or not, it does not excuse the messy and bad game that they played. Lamar Jackson, 19-35 on the day with a pick. Tyler Loop missed the point after. And outside of Zay Flowers, none of the pass catchers showed up on Sunday. And there is just something about playing the Steelers that causes the Ravens to just forget how to play football. Think about all those missed 2-point conversions that they've had at the games in Pittsburgh, and just how sloppy they played on Sunday. It's crazy. I don't know if it's the Ravens getting in their own heads every time they play the Steelers. I don't know if it's concrete evidence that the Steelers use devil magic. I don't know what it is. So, and really, the Ravens' only shot to make the playoffs is winning the division. The wild card is just way too good this year. You likely have to go 4-0 down the stretch, and even then, that might not be enough. It's fairly dire for Baltimore. Then continuing through the 1 o'clock window, we had the Jacksonville Jaguars taking down the Indianapolis Colts 36-19. And this was really not at all the game I expected for really a number of reasons. We'll get to them later, but the main thing I expected was a lot closer of a game, and obviously that did not happen. And I want to apologize in advance for sounding like a broken record during my analysis here. I will say multiple times that Daniel Jones does not play defense. Again, I emphasize that will be a common theme in this analysis. As for Jacksonville, look, Daniel Jones does not play defense, so the offense's fantastic performance is legit, and it is not discounted at all. They were fantastic on Sunday. Liam Cohen, really, he was in his bag. This is exactly what I thought that the Jags would look like after his hire over the winter. If the offense can continue to build on that and play like that, the Jags are a legit threat in the league, in the AFC, better look out. As for Indianapolis, Daniel Jones does not play defense, so their performance is not getting excused here. And look, I am sympathetic about the situation. I feel awful for Daniel Jones. I feel awful for the Colts organization and their fans, but the defense was atrocious on Sunday. They could not stop a parked car. And really, the playoff hopes are in serious jeopardy after they have lost control of the division, and we'll get to it later, but Houston overtook them over the weekend. So it's very dire considering both where the Colts are and what the Colts are going to look like for the rest of the season here. And continuing through the 1 o'clock window, we had definitely the upset of the week and arguably of the year. We had the New Orleans Saints, yes, the New Orleans Saints, taking down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 24-20. And this is the wrench of all wrenches thrown into the playoff picture. This was an upset that nobody saw coming. As for New Orleans, I mean, Tyler Shough, I really hope I'm saying that right. I've rehearsed multiple times. If I'm saying that wrong, I promise it's not intentional, and I do apologize. But Tyler Shough really showed something this Sunday, both throwing the ball and running the ball. And I mean, hey, it's always nice to beat your rival, especially at this point in the season where you know you're out and you know they're competing for a playoff spot. So that makes it a little sweeter. And to deal a potential crushing blow to their playoff chances, always sweet, and I'll never fault the team for that. So hats off there. Tampa Bay, guys, what the hell are we doing? What's going on? Like, it really seems like just yesterday they were legit contenders, and now they're tied for a division lead with the Carolina Panthers. They do hold the tiebreaker as of right now, but these two teams have yet to play each other this season. It really could go either way. Again, it really could go either way with the Carolina Panthers. Like, I look back and I reflected, I really need to stop expecting anything more out of this team. They do this every year, and I will take full responsibility for drinking the Kool-Aid early in the season. That is fully on me, and I should have seen this coming. Because look, once you break it down, it's very clear that this team does this every single season. Last year, 2024, they started 3-1, then they proceeded to be 4-6 at one point, and they finished 10-7. 2023, they started 3-1, were 4-7 at one point, they finished 9-8, made the playoffs. 2023, they started 3-2. Then they were 6-8. And then they finished 8-9, but they still made the playoffs because if you can remember, the South was awful that year. So really, again, I really got to stop expecting anything more when Todd Bowles is the coach of this team because, again, they will do this every single season, and they'll probably at most win one playoff game every season, again, with the current state of the team. Then continuing through the 1 o'clock window, we had the Buffalo Bills taking down the Cincinnati Bengals 39-34, and this was exactly what I expected in this game. It was very fun, a very playoff-style game, and a lot of points to come by. And I mean, hey, it was a snow game. Those are always fun. They're always so pretty to look at, and they're the best. Like, I can't think of another adjective here. As for Buffalo, they found a way to win when it looked like it was going down as a loss. I think they were still losing with about 8 minutes to go here, which, you know, is what contending teams do. They find a way to win when it comes down to it. And with the Patriots on the bye, this one, I would say was a little more important since you were guaranteed to either gain or lose a half game on them, and you gained the half game, so hats off there. As for Cincinnati, like, overall, they played well, but unfortunately, they just made one or two more mistakes than Buffalo did, and a team of Buffalo's caliber is just gonna make you pay. That's the way it is. And it's definitely a game played by two playoff quality teams, but unfortunately for the Bengals, this loss drops them to 4-9. They played like a playoff team, but they're not really a playoff team. Again, that's likely it for the Bengals. That's probably wraps on the season. And it just got revealed today that Trey Hendrickson is getting likely season-ending surgery, so that indicates to me that the Bengals are, you know, rightfully so, packing it in. This is a lost season. Really, I think the big takeaway for the Bengals from this game and the season is you really have to have a conversation about what you're doing at the head coaching position going forward. And moving to the 4 o'clock window, we had the Denver Broncos taking down the Las Vegas Raiders 24-17. And there was a lot of garbage time points. This game was a lot more lopsided than the score indicates. For all intents and purposes, the final score of this game was 24-7. I firmly believe that. And like building off of that, it was domination by the Broncos as it should have been. As for Denver, like domination and incredible efficiency on offense. Time of possession was one-sided. Denver had it for 39 minutes and 3 seconds to Las Vegas's 20 minutes and 57 seconds, which again could have been a lot worse if it weren't for garbage time. And it could have been a trap game considering that the Broncos have a pretty big game next week against Green Bay. So I'm really happy that they performed as they should have. Going back to last week, I had a couple concerns, and I also said that I would have like really been concerned if they turned into habits this week. So I'm really happy that the tackling was a lot better. I'm really happy that the O-line overall had a pretty good game. So happy to attribute last week's kind of off game to being off the bye, and I'm happy that they're back on track as far as their performance. As for Las Vegas, I mean, what else is there to say about this team? They suck. They're looking to be in possession of the #1 pick as an easy out to the Geno Smith situation. And honestly, I also think there's a really like real scenario where Pete Carroll is one and done. It's not a good fit. He's not a good fit for this team. They're finally playing their young players when they're 2-11. Like, for the Raiders' sake, it's difficult because I want them to suck because they have sucked my whole life, and it's been awesome as a Broncos fan. But from a football perspective, they need to make a change at head coach. I just don't think it's a good fit there. And our big one in the 4 o'clock window lived up to it. The Green Bay Packers took down the Chicago Bears 28-21. This was such a fun game to watch. It was two heavyweights, two longtime rivals with a lot on the line going at it. It was so much fun. As for Green Bay, this was a very even game between, again, two very evenly matched teams, but Green Bay was able to flex their muscles on defense in crunch time. That huge interception to seal it by Nixon, again, it's what playoff teams do. It's catapulted them not only into the NFC North lead, but also the #2 seed in the NFC. As for Chicago, coming down to the end, it started becoming clear that one team had played in these games before and one hadn't. Obviously, the Packers had, Bears had. And really, look, unfortunately, to start learning how to win these games, these kind of games, these big games late in the season, fortunately, you have to lose a couple. That's just the way sports is. It's the way football is. And look, hey, you win some, you lose some. And I want to say that this loss is not catastrophic because the Bears are still 9-4, but they did drop from the #1 seed to the #7 seed, which is honestly one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. And it just really goes to show how crazy this season is and how close like all the playoff teams in both conferences are this year. It's insane. Then on Sunday night, we had the Houston Texans taking down the Kansas City Chiefs 20-10. Look, as I expected, this is a very playoff-style game here as well, and points were really at a premium. And the outcome of this game has likely solidified our 7 playoff teams. Still got some seeding to shake out, but we've likely narrowed down the 7 after this game. As for Houston, I mean, the defense, once again, flexed its muscles and led the Texans to a critical win here. This unit continues time and time again to really come up clutch for this team. But going over to the other side of the ball, they really got to figure it out on offense. Like, Stroud only completed 3 passes in the second half. That is a real stat. He only completed 3 passes in the second half. It's really amazing just how bad the offense is, solely because of how bad the O-line is. Like, they have a solid quarterback who's, I think, is pretty underrated at this point with how, maybe down his past 2 seasons have been. A great group of pass catchers, a solid run game. Like, I really like Woody Marks. That's just how bad the O-line is. I just don't really understand how the Texans O-line was a weakness, even heading into Stroud's rookie year, and they somehow figured out a way every season to make it worse. I'm at a loss for what the strategy is there. But regardless, the Texans won. The Texans won. I don't know why I'm going in so hard on them. They won. Good job. Good win, guys. And you're only 1 game back of the Jags now. The division is more than up for grabs for them. So great win for them. As for Kansas City, it is so unbelievably over for them. Like, not only losing this critical game, because, that's bad enough. That's bad enough for them. But how they lost and the mistakes they made really sealed their fate. I mean, the drops. The drops were the big story on Sunday night. Some horrible coaching decisions. Andy Reid going for it on 4th down at their own, 30? Like, what are you doing? And then kicking the field goal at 4th and 2. Like I can somewhat justify the field goal on 4th and 2 because you want to take the points tie of the game. I cannot justify the 4th down in your own 30. What the hell are you doing? Even considering how good the defense was playing to start the second half. They were flat out dominant, and you gave Houston a short field. Like, what are you doing? And, Mahomes sucked. Mahomes sucked on Sunday night. He played flat out horribly. Look, I get that the receivers could not catch a cold, but Mahomes was just as bad. And I don't want that to be overshadowed again by his receivers' poor play. He was awful. And they've already mathematically been eliminated from the AFC West. And considering the amount of help they need, they're likely done. Look, they can run the table and they could still be out just with how many teams are ahead of them and how many teams they need to win on top of their wins the rest of the way here. So it's an insane world to live in, but the Kansas City Chiefs likely are not going to be playing football late into January this year. And then on Monday night, we had the LA Chargers taking down the Philadelphia Eagles in overtime, 22-19. My God, these teams just, both of them did not want to win and wanted to give the game away in the most creative way possible. It was not fun to watch at all. As for LA, respectfully, they did not do anything. They let the Eagles completely self-destruct. And hey, again, that's no disrespect meant. If I was the coach of the Chargers, I would have done the exact same thing. I won't fault them for just getting it into field goal range a couple times and letting Cameron Dicker do his thing. And like I said, letting the Eagles just completely implode on the other side. So again, no disrespect. Hats off. Good, I think, win for you guys. As for Philadelphia, it's like I said last week, it's 2023 all over again. I mean, it's uncanny just how similar it is to 2023. And, you know, I'm ready to say it after whatever the hell that was from Jalen Hurts. Bo Nix is better than him. I'm sorry. I've seen it with my own eyes. He is just flat out better than him. And before we look ahead to Week 15, as I said in the intro, we had quite a bit of shakeup in the playoff picture this week with all the big games that we had. Starting off in the AFC with a combination of their win and the Patriots being idle. The Broncos are now the number 1 seed, and the Patriots are the number 2 seed. The Jaguars stay in the number 3 seed, and by their win over the Ravens, the Steelers have overtaken control of the AFC North, and they are the 4 seed. Our wild cards right now are still the LA Chargers. The Bills move up to the 6 seed, and the 7 seed is now the Houston Texans. And our teams in the hunt are the Indianapolis Colts, and then a pretty significant gap, then the Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs. Then shifting over to the NFC, again, quite a bit of shakeup. The Rams are back into the 1 seed. The Green Bay Packers are now the 2 seed. The Philadelphia Eagles and Tampa Bay Buccaneers stay as the 3 and the 4 seed. In the wild cards, we still have Seattle in the 5 seed. San Francisco moves up to the 7 seed, and Chicago slides in as the 7 seed. Then our in the hunt teams are the same, just in a bit of a different order. It is Detroit, Carolina, and Dallas. And then looking ahead to Week 15, first up on Thursday night, we've got the Atlanta Falcons traveling to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. I'm going to be completely honest, it's not really the greatest of games. I mean, really, it's just another chance for a reeling Bucs team to try and beat a struggling division opponent to try and maintain that now very in jeopardy lead they've got on the NFC South. But I mean, besides that, not really a lot going on here. Then as we move into Sunday, we've got the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. And I think with the Bengals win last week, this would have been a lot more interesting, but obviously that's not what we got. And I think a loss would be quite detrimental to both teams, maybe more so for Baltimore. So if you look at it from Cincinnati's perspective, this is maybe a chance for, you know, if I'm going down, I'm taking you down with me for them. So, and it's a chance for, you know, them to sweep the Ravens, which I don't think any team would ever turn down no matter how their year is going. So it should be a pretty fun watch. Then continuing through the 1 o'clock slate, you've got the LA Chargers traveling to Kansas City to take on the struggling Chiefs. And this is another crack at an AFC wildcard team for the Chiefs here. And I think another loss would like seal their fate, like for real. Like, they're done if they lose this game. And obviously they were rooting for a Chargers loss this past Monday night and didn't get that. And if that was the case, this would have had a lot higher stakes. But you know, that means that the Chiefs need this win now more than ever. Then our big one of the early window is the Buffalo Bills traveling to New England to take on the Patriots. And this is the swing game of all swing games this season. If the Bills win, they're going to be right on the Patriots' tail, a game back at the AFC East lead. The Patriots win, that's a wrap for the East. The Patriots clinch the division. So, you know, pretty big game, I would say. Then moving to the 4 o'clock window, we've got the Detroit Lions traveling to LA to take on the Rams. And this is maybe the final time we see the two QBs involved in one of the biggest trades of the modern era square off against each other. And the stakes really couldn't be bigger. The Rams obviously are leading the NFC West, but have Seattle right on their tail. Detroit is scratching and clawing for any win they can get to try to get themselves in the playoff picture. So should be a very, very fun watch. Then continuing through the 4 o'clock window, we've got another big one. We've got the Green Bay Packers traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. And with this game, obviously aside from it being two Super Bowl contenders, I'm really looking forward to these two defenses squaring off against one another. And then getting even more specific, I'm really looking forward to these two pass rushes going up against the opposing O-line. Should be a heavyweight tilt and should be a lot of fun to watch these two teams go up against each other. Then continuing through the 4 o'clock window, this game seemed a little more interesting maybe a week or two ago. It is the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. And really for the Colts, the games just are not getting easier for them if they want to make the playoffs. And this is likely going to be Riley Leonard's first career start. It's quite the defense to go up against. It's dicey for sure, but who knows? Maybe Riley Leonard is a Brock Purdy situation. I don't know. I don't really know this season. Anything is possible. Then on Sunday night Night Football, we've got the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. And last week, J.J. McCarthy really looked comfortable for the first time like in his career all season. And Dallas is still in the hunt and is probably 1 or 2 losses away from like being done and completely out of it, depending on if the Eagles get it together. Like I say a lot with the games now that we're coming down the stretch, should be 2 desperate football teams and, should be a pretty fun watch. Then on Monday Night Football, we've got the Miami Dolphins traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. And a month ago, this game looked awful, but now that Miami has scratched and clawed their way back into the playoff picture, who knows, maybe we'll be in for some fireworks here. And on the other side, Pittsburgh obviously just reclaimed the AFC North lead and is trying to take it and get as much cushion as they can with how competitive that division has been. So it should be a lot of fun to watch. But that is it for me. If you have any thoughts of your own on this past week, the week ahead, feel free to drop them in the comments. Any thoughts on what I said on this past week, the week ahead, feel free to also drop them in the comments. You like what you're seeing, feel free to like and subscribe. It is completely optional, but greatly appreciated. That is it for me. Enjoy week 15, and I'll see you in the next one.